Please rise for the passing of the colors.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the university community, I would like to welcome you to the 2010 Spring Graduate Commencement Exercises. We will now have the singing of the national anthem by Ms. Chelsea Crane and the posting of the colors by the University Color Guard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great job. Please be seated. We are pleased to have with us today representatives from the Virginia Tech Board of Visitors. Board members are appointed by the governor, and Virginia Tech has been very fortunate to have a record of appointees who bring to this voluntary service a deep and genuine commitment to the university. Now, I would like to ask them to stand as I read their names. First, Mr. John Lawson, our rector, Ms. Shelley Duke, Ms. Sandy Lowe. Please recognize these individuals with your applause. We're also pleased to welcome Dr. Gary Long, faculty representative to the board, Ms. Rebecca French, graduate student representative to the board, and ladies and gentlemen, please recognize these individuals with your applause as well. I'm also pleased to introduce Dr. Mark McNamee, our Senior Vice President and Provost, and the deans of our colleges. These individuals have the immense responsibility for the academic and administrative direction of each college. And I'll ask them to stand, and you'll hold your applause to the end, otherwise we could be here for quite a while. But first, Dr. Karen DePaul, the Vice President and Dean for Graduate Education, Dr. Rosemary Blisner, Associate Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Janet Rankin, Associate Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Alan Grant, Dean of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, Professor Jack Davis, Dean of the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, Dr. Rich Sorensen, Dean of the Pamplin College of Business, Dr. Richard Benson, Dean of the College of Engineering, Dr. Fred Piercy, Associate Dean for the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, Dr. Paul Winstorfer, Dean of the College of Natural Resources, Dr. Lainam Chang, Dean of the College of Science, Dr. Roger Avery, Associate Dean of the Virginia Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Eileen Hitchingham, Dean of University Libraries. Please recognize these individuals. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize the university's senior administrators who have joined us on the stage today. Mr. Irving Bly, our Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer, Dr. John Dooley, Vice President for Outreach and International Affairs, Dr. Elizabeth Flanagan, Vice President for Development and University Relations, Mr. Dwight Shelton, our Vice President for Finance and our Chief Financial Officer, Dr. Edward Spencer, our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Tom Tiller, Vice President for Alumni Relations, Dr. Sherwood Wilson, Vice President for Administrative Services, Dr. Robert Walters, our Vice President for Research, and Dr. Daniel Uba, our Vice President and Dean of Undergraduate Education. Please recognize these individuals. Also on stage are Dr. Hardis Odendahl, the Commencement Marshal, Mr. Sean Rosenquist, the Graduate Student Marshal and recipient of the 2010 Outstanding Doctoral Student Award for the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Our other student participants are Ms. Lachelle Waller, the Graduate Student Commencement Speaker, Ms. Laura Freeman, President of the Graduate Student Assembly, and Ms. Kim Carlson, Chief Justice of the Graduate Honor System. This afternoon, we are pleased to recognize and celebrate with our graduate students. So let's recognize these folks as well. Thank you. So we are here to honor you. This ceremony signifies a tremendous achievement. It's a celebration of your talents and skills and hard work. And we look forward with great anticipation to learning of your continued progress and your future accomplishments. I'm sure that you will continue to display the Hokie spirit and always be a part of the special Virginia Tech community. As you know, the degrees that you are about to receive are the highest that students may earn. It's also important to note that these students would not have achieved their goals without the teaching and the guidance of their faculty. So I'd like to please ask our faculty to stand and be recognized. Faculty, if you would be so kind. Thank you. There are many faculty and staff members who have worked tirelessly to make this commencement a celebratory event. Many are serving as ushers and marshals today and have taken on additional administrative assignments to support this special occasion. I want to publicly thank you for your contribution. And of course, we all know that behind each graduate student is a supporting cast of family and community members. And I'd like for the families and friends of the graduate students to also stand so that we can recognize your contributions. So all the families stand up for a minute. Thank you. The student body at Virginia Tech represents nearly 50 states and 120 nations. Graduate students are extremely important to the university's research and scholarship mission. During this semester, 1,271 students earned advanced degrees, including 980 master's degrees, 3 educational specialist degrees, 53 advanced graduate certificates, and 235 doctoral degrees. We have some 600 graduating students participating with us today. At this time, it's my pleasure to present Virginia Tech's Senior Vice President and Provost, Dr. Mark McNamee, who will introduce the graduate student speaker and today's commencement speaker. Dr. McNamee.
It is my pleasure to introduce Lachelle Monique Waller, a doctoral student in the field of genetics, bioinformatics, and computational biology. She received the Graduate Woman in Leadership Award in 2010 and the Graduate Woman of the Year Award in 2008. These awards recognize her contributions to new knowledge through teaching, research, and scholarship, and her leadership roles in the Graduate Student Assembly, the Black Graduate Student Organization, and Hokies United. She also served as a member of the Task Force on Race in the Institution, the Commission on Student Affairs, and the University Athletic Committee. She's had a positive impact as a mentor for students participating in various university and off-campus diversity initiatives. The American Association for the Advancement of Science awarded her its Excellence in Science Scholarship. Upon graduation, Ms. Waller plans to take a position as an assistant professor at Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Lachelle Waller.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. McNamee, for such a warm introduction. It is truly an honor to be standing here today as the graduate commencement speaker. Dr. McNamee highlighted many of my accomplishments, but what a journey to achieve them. Whew. I can honestly attest, graduate school was not a straight and easy path. Never in a million years would I have imagined this. I must admit something to you all today. I didn't even get accepted into Virginia Tech as a freshman when I applied here for undergrad. Not even waitlisted, not even close. But I'm grateful that my advisor saw something in me as a graduate student, and so did the graduate school. Not getting accepted into VT only encouraged me to work harder. I did attend college and accepted a teaching position at the K-12 level. Even when the teachers bet against me, I used this as motivation to apply to graduate school. I came to Virginia Tech many years ago. And it was an amazing, truly amazing adventure, I must say, because this story could go on and on with how my journey here has gone. I figured that being here for just as long as I've been here would be enough time for me to understand what genetics, bioinformatics, and computational biology actually meant. Praying I wouldn't get kicked out of the program because I wasn't the best programmer, calling friends and family members crying because I didn't get it, or I was afraid I'd get kicked out of the program and lose my funding. I spent many sleepless nights writing and completing research. I experienced being homeless and losing almost everything. My GPA then dropped below a 3.0, and I was placed on academic probation. I lost many loved ones and witnessed my mother suffer with lupus and scleroderma. And then after being awarded the 2008 Virginia Tech Graduate Woman of the Year Award, I decided to help my family by receiving full custody of my niece, who is now 2 years old. I learned many lessons through the journey and realized it was far better than I had planned. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I would like to leave you with a few lessons that I learned from a 2-year-old. No, pretty much a 2-year-old's favorite word. If anyone has ever been around a 2-year-old, it takes no hesitation for them to blurt out no. They will say it even before you ask them a question. But this is a lesson that I learned. Through my graduate career, the word no is necessary at times. It's very easy to want to give your all, but at times you have to realize that you may be overworked and you need to focus on your priorities. Why? If they aren't saying no, they're asking why. This is a question we should constantly ask, I realize. We should ask why to challenge ourselves and those around us. It allows for growth and it produces change. Getting into mischief. You have to watch a 2-year-old like a hawk because they will take every opportunity to get into something. I took this as taking advantage of every opportunity that life has to offer. As a graduate student, I found there were many academic and social opportunities to prepare us for the next phase of our life. Taking advantage of these opportunities, which have turned out to be an excellent resource and networking opportunity. Discipline. 2-year-olds hate discipline. But parents recognize that it's necessary for a child to decipher between what is acceptable and what is not. So, if you've ever been disciplined by your advisor, or by your friends, or by your family, or maybe by your future boss, just accept it. It's not a lesson to punish us, it's just an opportunity to help us grow. Nap time. Ever been around a 2-year-old in need of rest? It's not a pretty sight. And I learned through graduate school that neither are graduate students. So, nap time. It allows for a more productive individual. Try again. 2-year-olds are easily frustrated and they will keep trying at it and eventually overcome their obstacles and reap the benefits of achievement. There will be obstacles in your life. I believe they are put in our life to motivate and encourage us to be the best that we can be. They build character, so never compare yourself to anyone else. Believe in yourself. Work hard and achieve your goals. Help those in need. 2-year-olds, they need a lot of help. Grad school for me was a crash course in life. I learned that graduate students, even in the worst of times, have to learn to lean on others, including mentors, family, and friends. In turn, we learn how to become people that others can lean on. We have the opportunity to make a difference. Sharing. 2-year-olds have the "it's mine" syndrome. We as graduate students have achieved a great accomplishment. And with that accomplishment, we should feel proud. But now it is our responsibility to become a true citizen scholar and share what we have learned. Remember that life isn't all about us. We never know the impact that we are making on others. And finally, appreciate those who are in your life. With a 2-year-old, you value the loved ones that are in your life, who are there for you and your child. I can truly say that this journey would not have been the same without my amazing network and friendships that I've developed. I have many amazing memories, and I'm excited about this journey. I have been truly blessed to have amazing mentors, family, and friends who've touched my life and inspired me to be the best that I can be. Through their will and determination, I found motivation. I watched my dad overcome a brain aneurysm, my mom fight lupus and scleroderma, and a nephew fight sickle cell. And recently, an amazing graduate student, Reverend Dr. Lisa Tabor, who lost the battle to cancer last Friday. She was laid to rest yesterday. Lisa received her PhD at a special ceremony last week, just 11 days earlier. As the news reported, there were no special arrangements made for Lisa, and she met all the requirements to obtain her PhD. Not only was she battling cancer, writing a dissertation, and completing pastoral care, she was very active in the graduate community and did a ton of outreach in the New River Valley community. Lisa not only learned many of the lessons above, but she taught them and she touched so many lives. She achieved her goals despite the obstacles that she faced, and she was truly an inspiration to me and many graduate students like you all today. So class of 2010, we did it. Family and friends, give yourselves a round of applause. 2010, give yourselves a round of applause. And now, it's time to celebrate such a joyous time in our lives.
Thank you, Lachelle. I'm now pleased to introduce today's commencement speaker, Dr. Stephan Bieri, who is the chairman of the Scientific Advisory Board of the Virginia Bioinformatics Institute, and who heads his own consulting firm focused on scientific evaluation and intellectual property. He was also recently elected chairman of the University Council of the University of Bayreuth in Germany. Dr. Bieri earned his doctorate in economics at the University of Zurich, where he later became a lecturer in regional and industrial economics. His career has spanned both private and public sectors, and he has served on many corporate and scientific boards, including as president of the Swiss Federal Board for Regional Economic Development and as chairman of an international committee that evaluated priority research programs for the federal government. In 1995, he was appointed CEO and Vice President of the Board for the Swiss Federation Institutes of Technology, an educational system that consists of 2 universities and 4 large research institutes. There, he led a broad international reorganization that resulted in greater autonomy and enabled major investments in the Institute's scientific infrastructure. Dr. Bieri has led many peer reviews and is member of the Evaluation Committee of the German Science Council. He has published extensively on the topics of fiscal federalism, science policy, and planning theory. Please welcome Dr. Stephan Bieri.
Thank you, President Steger, Dean Opoe, dear graduates, ladies and gentlemen. When I arrived some days ago at Charlotte Airport, the immigration officer was asking me why I'm visiting the US. My normal answer when I'm arriving would be, I'm serving Virginia Bioinformatics Institute as a chairman of the Scientific Advisory Board. But this time, no. I said I will speaking at the Virginia Tech Graduate School Commencement. Then he said, well, what a great honor. And I got the impression that everything was working faster. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here and to congratulate, first of all, the graduates. The ceremony is the final point of a most important period of your life. It will never come back. And for Virginia Tech, it's a moment of pride. It's a moment of academic satisfaction. As we say it in higher education slang, graduates are the core product of an ambitious university. I want to share some thoughts with you on the difficult notion of autonomy that I introduced to the Swiss university system. A research university like Virginia Tech is truly one, depends on several success factors: outstanding professors, postdocs, hard and talented students, graduate students especially, like you were, a modern infrastructure, libraries, labs, high-performance computing, and finally an efficient management. You all know that, but the graduate school is the focus of such a university. It's the place where things are happening. Here, higher education meets research. More and more leading universities in Europe and Asia are exactly focusing on that type of graduate school you have here. And I'm honored for that reason as well to stay here. Some of those success factors, ladies and gentlemen, may be bought if the university is rich. But we all know the situation resembles that of sports or film business, of movies. You can buy a strong quarterback, maybe. You can hire a pretty actress, but do they fit within the team? That is the question. A university is a very special spot, a social organism with its own governance, with rules, and a strong need of harmony. One should not forget that, a strong need of harmony. I think this can be done with mutual respect, with active communication, as it is here, but this is not enough. In the long run, the strength of an institution and its excellence is depending on the concept of autonomy. Academia, ladies and gentlemen, cannot flourish without autonomy. Let me first now discuss a financial question. You all know, but I know it by many visits here and elsewhere, how difficult it is to finance a modern university. It's a difficult job. Recession, growing federal budget deficits, tight finances at the state level, and diminishing research investment of industry hamper the revenue of universities. In addition, some universities, not Virginia Tech, are directly touched by the banking crisis and lose parts of their wealth. I'm impressed by Virginia Tech's steady growth during the last 10 years. I know this university for 11 years. Even more impressive for me is the battle that President Steger fights to compensate the falling share of state financing. I think the falling share of state financing is really something difficult to compensate. From 2001 to 2010, the ranking of US university was remarkably changing. One can say that during this time, Virginia Tech was always with the winners. The realignment I'm just describing is not only due to scientific competition. It is partly that, but it is also due to leadership and the ability to finance the needs of a university. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the struggle for third-party money and sponsoring has become a global phenomenon. Insofar, universities here in the States and in the rest of the world are facing a very similar situation. They compete even partly for identical industrial funds. We should not forget that. International universities try to direct their knowledge directly to startups. They sell their intellectual property as commodities. innovation policy today is no more longer something that some few US universities can. It is a global battlefield. When I'm looking and comparing what is different in Europe and Asia toward what I see in the US, there are 3 points I want to mention. There is a difference in the attitude of governments, especially in Europe. The difference between private and public financed university is getting smaller because the financing models are more and more getting the same. And in the same time, private and public universities in Europe are getting more autonomy. That's point number one. Point number two is that there are focused research programs in Asia and in Europe to close the gap between basic research and applied research. By doing that, some governments are directly copying what is in the USA your strong point, the policy of NIH and National Science Foundation as examples. The third and last point is that we have in Europe now networks combining government and industrial interests, so-called long-range interests of research that is partly financed by industry and by government. The fields of energy, of public transport and health are especially pushed by such networks. Now, let me come to the case. Autonomy is a theoretical concept, yes, but it is something with far-reaching practical consequences. Again, I think there are 2 or 3 points to remember. First, universities more and more competing in a global framework need, as knowledge enterprises, instruments that industry have. I'm not suggesting, ladies and gentlemen, that universities are vendors, that are doing the same like industry, but they need instruments that industry has. The second point is a very simple one. Industry should sustain in protecting intellectual property here produced and help to make things clear who is the owner of intellectual property within a university. That's not a simple case. The third point is a very Darwinistic one. The university organization must create an atmosphere that respects and especially promotes strong individuals. Universities are not industrial plants, are not consulting firms where people can easily replace. Promoting strong individuals. Now, let me come to a last point. You cannot run universities against academia, I said. On the other hand, it's clear you cannot manage a university with 30,000 students like you did it 100 years ago. So university management is a mixture between modern management tools and traditional participation. Autonomy in that case means self-organization and collective learning. I'm insisting on those 2 points. Of course, with that, the faculty has its own task to do. It must be possible that scientists are managing a large project. It's necessary that they are heading a difficult department, not just for 1 year, and it's necessary that they chair a strategic committee with results that the president really can use. So we saw, ladies and gentlemen, dear graduates, that autonomy is in an organizational way possible. But in the long term, it's clear to everybody that a university president cannot shift more competencies to his organization than he is getting from his funder, in your case, from the state of Virginia. I know that I'm on a very sensitive ground now, but my personal experience are saying to me, legislators, governments, funders must play the autonomy card as well. One key instrument to do so is the so-called performance mandate, a 4 or 5 year anchoring of a strategy that is combined with a global budget. I introduced that instrument in Switzerland, and just to give you a very small hint, the federal institutes of technology are receiving $2 billion a year in one sum, and they are distributing this sum to the 6 institutes in an unconditional way, one sum for one institute. Maybe, I'm asking myself, maybe that for some US state university, the idea of performance mandate and global budget would be appropriate. The smaller the amount of public funding is, the better that will work. Ladies and gentlemen, these things must be said, must be transformed to the public by those knowing the university from inside. You, the graduates, you can play a crucial role in the process of the autonomy as professionals, as future faculty, as government and private researcher. I hope you can help Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a great internationally recognized university you and I want to support. I wish you all the best for your future and a pleasant time after the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. You've been a great friend of the university, and we appreciate your strong commitment to graduate education and to all the missions of the university. We would now like to observe a special award ceremony. I call upon Graduate Dean Karen DePaul and Dr. Tom Tiller, Vice President for Alumni Relations, to come forward and explain its significance.
Good afternoon. The success of a university is often best reflected in the accomplishments of its alumni. Together, the Graduate School and the Alumni Association have established the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award. This award recognizes Virginia Tech graduate alum who have achieved the highest goals in their fields. Their accomplishments are significant and a source of pride for the university and validate its mission, our mission, to further graduate education. I am pleased to announce that the 2010 recipient of the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award is Dr. Richard Crowder. Dr. Crowder, will you please come forward?
Good afternoon. Dr. Richard Crowder has had an outstanding career as a corporate leader and public servant, and now is a professor of international trade at Virginia Tech. He has held senior executive positions at several major U.S. corporations, among them Wilson & Company, DeKalb Genetics, and the American Seed Trade Association. He took a leave from the corporate world to serve as Undersecretary of International Affairs and Commodity Programs for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. During this time, he headed several presidential missions, including one to the former Soviet Union. He later took another leave to serve in the Executive Office of the President of the U.S. Trade Representative, attaining the rank of Ambassador. In this position, he directed all U.S. agricultural negotiations worldwide, and his efforts earned him that office's Distinguished Service Award. Dr. Crowder earned 2 degrees in agricultural economics from Virginia Tech, a bachelor's in 1960 and a master's in 1962. He received his PhD from Oklahoma State University and has been awarded its Distinguished Alumnus Award. It is my honor to present the 2010 Graduate Alumni Achievement Award to Dr. Richard Crowder.
Thank you, Dr. Tiller, Dean DePaul, Dr. McNamee, Dr. Steger. I am honored to receive this award. However, I am very much mindful that behind all such individual recognition is the support of mentors, colleagues, and family. And this is certainly true in my case. They have all been important, and I am deeply indebted to many for their support over the years. To the graduates, I simply say that given the training and mentoring that you have received at Virginia Tech, and knowing of the opportunities, numerous and diverse, that await you worldwide, that as you leave here today, you should do so with the confidence that any dream or ambition that you have will be easily achievable. Congratulations and best wishes to you all.
Now I would like to again call upon Dr. Karen DePaul, who will present some reflections and acknowledgments, followed by an introduction of the candidates for hooding of their graduate degrees. Thank you.
One of the great pleasures of this graduate dean and many others is to introduce the candidates for the graduate degrees and to acknowledge their accomplishments. Each and every student here today has a story to share. And no, we're not going to tell all of the stories because it's much too hot in here. But we are going to share some of the stories. The graduate school, as many of you know, is committed to building graduate community. And today we wish to recognize and acknowledge many of you who have been an integral part of this very, very strong graduate community. First, I would like to recognize the many graduating students who have received distinguished fellowships and scholarships during their study at Virginia Tech. And I would ask all of those students who have earned any fellowship, scholarship during your years to please stand and remain standing. This is the interactive part of the ceremony. I know many, yes, thank you. We always have to have the first person stand up. So, these students have received some of the most prestigious fellowships around the nation, and they include such fellowships as you can keep standing, please, from the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Departments of Energy, Agriculture, and Defense, the EPA, NASA, GEM, the SREB Board, as well as some of our internal scholarships, the Cunningham, the Charles and Marion Vaya, the John Lee Pratt, the Bradley, ICTAS, David and Lillian Francis, Eleanor Davenport Nobler, and Powell Fellowships. Congratulations to all of you. You may be seated. In addition, we would like to acknowledge the outstanding Master's and Doctoral Student Award recipients. These are selected by the 8 colleges, and in addition, there are Graduate Teaching Assistant Excellence and Graduate Student Service Excellence Awards. If any of you who are graduating today have received those, please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you. Now I would like to recognize the graduate students who have earned the distinction of the Graduate School's Citizen Scholars. These individuals have demonstrated their strong commitment and connections as scholars and citizens. Please stand if you have been recognized as a citizen scholar. And please remain standing. I invite those also. Citizen scholars, please keep standing. Okay, this is, yes, you stay. Thank you. The members of the Graduate Honorary Society, Alpha Epsilon Lambda, please stand. Good. Thank you. Please stand if you have participated in the Graduate Scholars Society and if you are any of the founding members or student leaders. Please stand if you have participated in the Graduate Student Assembly, in leadership positions, in attending meetings, social gatherings, and participated in the Research and Scholarship Symposium. Please stand if you have participated in the many events sponsored by the Graduate School, received an award during Graduate Education Week. Please stand if you have lived in the GLC. I know there's some of you here. Please stand if you have visited the Graduate Life Center, attended classes in the GLC, in the computer lab, student lounge, reading room, or visited the graduate school either here or in Northern Virginia. And by now, if you haven't figured it out, you should all be standing. Ladies and gentlemen, our graduate students. Okay, you can be seated now. Thank you for participating. There's sometimes we are able to identify some students that we would like to select for special recognition. And this year, we have chosen a graduate student who brought with her 75 friends and family. They have traveled from near and far to honor Lachelle's graduation. So I would like Lachelle and her 75 friends and family, please stand. And there's one other couple that I want to recognize here, and we try to do this as a surprise, so we'll see if these individuals are surprised. It is a husband and wife. Both individuals are earning a PhD. One is getting a doctorate in engineering, and one's getting a PhD, and one is getting a master's in political science. They have given extended service to the Graduate Honors Society. So would Brian and Erin Lunday please stand and be recognized? I just did that so they could see each other. Obviously, they are separated here. We are pleased to present a feature unique to the graduate commencement ceremony now. To honor our students, the Graduate School has commissioned an original composition by Virginia Tech music professor Travis Cross. He has entitled his work Tribute. Today's performance, which will be performed by the Virginia Tech Brass Ensemble, will be accompanied by a brief slideshow that portrays the diversity and the vitality of a year in the life of the graduate student community at Virginia Tech. Some of the photos and activities have found their home in the Graduate Life Center and our new Graduate Life Plaza. I hope you enjoy the next few minutes in which we share this musical and visual tribute to graduate education and our graduate students at Virginia Tech.
We will now begin the conferral of degrees. The presentation of the doctoral degree is accompanied by a special tradition within academia. The doctoral degree recipients will be hooded by their major professors. The faculty member who accompanies the student to the stage is a member of the student's research committee and in most cases is the student's major doctoral advisor. That faculty member who mentored and most closely supervised the student's research. By hooding the graduate today, the faculty member symbolically welcomes the graduate as a professional colleague, a professional relationship and friendship that often continues throughout the graduates' and the mentors' lives.
Will all the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Education degrees please rise? President Steger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Education degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees to which you are entitled with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
You may be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the doctoral degrees and their major professors to the stage for the hooding ceremony? Dr. Joseph Marola will now read the names of the doctoral recipients and the hooding professors.
Receiving the Doctor of Philosophy from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences in Animal and Dairy Sciences, Brandy Patrice Hutterson, hooded by Professor Robert Akers. In Animal and Poultry Sciences, Kwaku Barima Gyanai, hooded by Professor Edward Smith. In Biochemistry, Hanan Mohammed Dachi, hooded by Professor Peter Kennelly. Ruth Ann Redbird, hooded by Professor Peter Kennelly. In Entomology, Amanda Lee Koppel, hooded by Professor Douglas Pfeiffer. In Food Science and Technology, Vinodini Emanuela Buck, hooded by Professor Sean O'Keefe. Gabriela Lopez Velasco, hooded by Professor Monica Ponder. In Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, Jeremy Dwayne Akers, hooded by Professor Brenda Davey. Elizabeth Ann Dennis, hooded by Professor Brenda Davey. Ashley Faye Doyle Lucas, hooded by Professor Brenda Davey. From the College of Architecture and Urban Studies and Environmental Design and Planning, Kurt Da Gervich and friend, hooded by Professor Max Stevenson. Moon Sun Jung, hooded by Professor Theodore Cable. Peter Charles Oslins, hooded by Professor Umberto Rodriguez Camilloni. In Planning, Governance, and Globalization, Courtney Irene Powell Thomas, hooded by Professor Edward Weisband. In Public Administration and Public Affairs, Michael B. Janeski, hooded by Professor Karen Hult. Robert Paul Griffin, Jr., hooded by Professor Laura Jensen. Hyun Gon Kim, hooded by Professor Sang Choi. Bing Lin Young, hooded by Professor Karen Hult. From the Pamplin College of Business, in Business Accounting, Molly Tyra Adams, hooded by Professor Deborah Salvador. Megan M. McInerney, hooded by Professor Deborah Salvador. In Business Management, Gary Martin Fetter, hooded by Professor Terry Rakes. From the College of Engineering, in Aerospace Engineering, Malcolm Christopher Cotting, hooded by Professor Craig Woolsey. Joshua Randolph Ellis, hooded by Professor Chris Hall. Robert John Krause, hooded by Professor Craig Woolsey. Nina Mahmoudjan, hooded by Professor Craig Woolsey. Nathaniel David Varano, hooded by Professor Roger Simpson. Juan Wu, hooded by Professor Lee McHugh. In Biological Systems Engineering, Candice Dawn Piercy, hooded by Professor Tess Wynn. Sean Eric Rosenquist, hooded by Professor Cully Hessian. In biomedical engineering, Andrew R. Kemper, hooded by Professor Warren Hardy. In chemical engineering, Jose Herrera Alonso, hooded by Professor Eva Moran. In civil engineering, Lee Davis Bryant, hooded by Professor John Little. Pranita Gotipati, hooded by Professor Raymond Plout. Pascorn Kontongtip, hooded by Professor John Novak. Wendell O'Neill Kunjar, hooded by Professor Nancy Love. Amit John Pinto, hooded by Professor Nancy Love. Matthew Kenneth Swenty, hooded by Professor Karen Roberts and Professor Thomas Cousins. Anand Shashand, hooded by Professor Antonio Trani. In computer engineering, Ricky Thomas Castles, hooded by Professor Vinod Lohani. David Lawrence Keppinger, hooded by Professor Robert Broadwater. Shou Wen Lai, hooded by Professor Benoy Ravindran. Jong Suk Mark Lee, hooded by Professor Dong S. Ha. Jorge A. Suris, hooded by Professor Peter Athanas. In computer science and applications, Ying Jin, hooded by Professor Naren Ramakrishnan. Jason Chong Lee, hooded by Professor Scott McCrickard. In electrical engineering, Andrew Arana, hooded by Professor Jaime de la Rey Lopez. Emmanuel E. Bernabu, hooded by Professor James Thorpe and Professor Virgilio Centeno. Chin Chin Chen, hooded by Professor Charles Bastian. Jai Hyuk Kim, hooded by Professor Jaime de la Rey Lopez. Chi Wu Lee, hooded by Professor Jaime de la Rey Lopez. Ja Yu, hooded by Professor Thomas Ho. Listabel Morales Terraro, hooded by Professor Jeffrey Reed. Jan Petrick, hooded by Professor Daniel Stillwell. Bin Shu, hooded by Professor Daniel Stillwell. In engineering mechanics, Dennis Earl Anderson, hooded by Professor Michael Madigan. Atilo Arcari, hooded by Professor Norman Dowling. In industrial and systems engineering, Wilgina Jackson Glover, hooded by Professor Eileen Van Aken. Ying Hu, hooded by Professor Tanya Smith Jackson. Hyung Nam Kim, hooded by Professor Tanya Smith Jackson. Yan Feng Lee, hooded by Professor Janice Turpenny. Brian Joseph Lunday, hooded by Professor Patrick Kelling. Rija Wang, hooded by Professor Rohan Yoon. In mechanical engineering, Ali Abdullah Al-Said, hooded by Professor Gordon Kirk. Emmanuel Dominique Blanchard, hooded by Professor Corina Sandu. Lin Lee, hooded by Professor Corina Sandu. Christopher R. Martin, hooded by Professor Uri Vandesberger. Joseph Allen Ranalli, hooded by Professor Uri Vandesberger. Marcel Christophe Ramillo, hooded by Professor Ricardo Burdisso. Stephen Andrew Saries, hooded by Professor Don Leo. Jonas Tegan Tadesi, hooded by Professor Shashank Priya. Christopher Jude Wyland, hooded by Professor Pavlos Vlachos. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, in Administration and Supervision of Special Education, Patrick Matthew Johnson, hooded by Professor Richard Salmon. In Apparel, Housing and Resource Management, Sung Jin Lee, hooded by Professor Kathleen Parrott. Amber Nicole Roth, hooded by Professor Ji Hyun Kim. In Career and Technical Education, Robert Adam Manley, hooded by Professor William Price and Professor Kitty Manley. Tonya Marie Taylor, hooded by Professor Daisy Stewart. In Counselor Education, Robert Adam Manley. Christy Michelle Arnold, hooded by Professor Norma Day Vines. In Curriculum and Instruction, Julene Leola Christopher, hooded by Professor Vanessa Shepard. Thomas Reed Jeffrey, hooded by Professor Jennifer Brill. Carl Wesley Costco, hooded by Professor Jesse Wilkins. Douglas Wayne Minix, hooded by Professor Richard Stratton. Evelyn Charita Richardson, hooded by Professor Carrie Redican. Troy Scott Smith, hooded by Professor Richard Stratton. Jesus H. Tres Palacios, hooded by Professor Jane Falls. Lida J. Uriba Flores, hooded by Professor Jesse Wilkins. Tremaine O'Brien Waller, hooded by Professor Susan Magliero and Professor Bev Watford. Fei Hong Wong, hooded by Professor John Burton. Daniel R. Woods, hooded by Professor Mary Alice Barksdale. In Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Tina Marie Barringer, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Kimberly S. Brown, hooded by Professor Joan Hurt. Martha J. Glass, hooded by Professor Joan Hurt. Charles Cole Hurd, hooded by Professor Travis Twyford. George Parker III, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Callie Marvin Richardson, hooded by Professor Travis Twyford. Thomas Angelo Whitley, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. In Human Development, Matthew Kamelski, hooded by Professor Rosemary Bleasner and Professor Yaso Miyazaki. Brandon Ellis Rogers, hooded by Professor Megan Dolben McNabb. From the College of Natural Resources in Forestry and Forest Products, Claudia A. Cotton, hooded by Professor Thomas Fox and Professor Steve Prisley. Charlene Nicole Kelly, hooded by Professor Stephen Schoenholtz. From the College of Science in Biological Sciences, Jared David Heffron, hooded by Professor David Popham. Emily Ann Lambert, hooded by Professor David Popham. Michael Joseph Surace, hooded by Professor Li Woo Hee. Chantrice Nicole Hardrick, hooded by Professor Richard Gandor. Su Long Ni, hooded by Professor Alan Easker. Jun Chi, hooded by Professor Paul Carlier. In mathematics, Grant Michael Bouquet, hooded by Professor Joseph Ball. Xiao Ming He, hooded by Professor Tao Lin. Elizabeth N. Neese, hooded by Professor Nicholas Lair. In physics, Larry Jonathan Cook, hooded by Professor Royce Zia. Sven Doros, hooded by Professor Michael Plemling. Stephen Eston Hardy, hooded by Professor Bruce Vogelaar. Jason Ian Ridley, hooded by Professor Randy Heflin. In psychology, Matthew Adam Jarrett, hooded by Professor Thomas Olendick. In statistics, Laura June Freeman, hooded by Professor Jeffrey Vining. Danisa Anja Olteanu, hooded by Professor Jeffrey Vining. Interdisciplinary doctoral degrees in genetics, bioinformatics, and computational biology, Lachelle Monique Waller, hooded by Professor Brett Tyler. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Faye Covington Bradley, hooded by Professor Travis Twyford. Gregory Allen Brown, hooded by Professor Wayne Tripp. Gail M. Hunger, hooded by Professor John Burton. Paul Norman Leinberg, hooded by Professor David Parks. Bernadine Good Miles, hooded by Professor Travis Twyford. June Mardell Montgomery, hooded by Professor David Parks. Douglas Wayne Shiflett, Jr., hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Kevin Wayne Sires, hooded by Professor Theodore Creighton. Stacy Lee Timmons, hooded by Professor Travis Twyford. Anthony Maurice Walker, hooded by Professor Theodore Creighton. Christine Ritchie Wolf, hooded by Professor Theodore Creighton.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a round of applause for our new doctoral recipients. I now would like to acknowledge those students who have earned postmaster's educational specialist degrees and those who have earned a graduate certificate. Those of you who have received the Ed Specialist degree, please stand and accept our congratulations. Thank you. You may be seated. Many of our graduate students choose advanced educational programs that lead to a graduate certificate. Please stand if you have earned a graduate certificate. Students who attending today may have received the certificates in the following areas: economic development, computational engineering, science and mechanics, the future professoriate, geospatial information technology, gerontology, macromolecular interfaces with life sciences, nonprofit and non-governmental organization management, security studies, science and technology, integrative STEM education, water quality management, and women's studies. Congratulations to all the graduate certificate holders. And you may be seated. Virginia Tech offers 92 master's degree programs. These include the Master of Arts and the Master of Science in many academic disciplines. We also offer the Master of Fine Arts, the Master of Business Administration, and professional master's degrees in the disciplines such as architecture, education, engineering, forestry, information technology, natural resources, public affairs, and urban planning. And now we will recognize the students who have earned these master's degrees. Will all the candidates for the master's degrees please rise? President Steger, I have the honor to present the candidates for the master's degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the master's degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the master's degrees to the stage, and Dr. Joseph Marola will read the names of the master's student recipients.
Receiving the Educational Specialist in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Julia Hopkins. Krista Hartley. From the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, receiving the Masters of Science in Agriculture and Applied Economics, Megan Dickens. In Agricultural and Extension Education, Kiana Ellis. Jessica Walkneen. Jenna Jensen. In Agriculture and Life Sciences, Ann Barker-Smith. In Animal and Poultry Sciences, Lance Leachman. Sarah Madsen. In Dairy Science, Karen Brown. Receiving the Master of Life Sciences in Entomology, Hamilton Allen. Heather Story. In Food Science and Technology, Yu-Min Dai. Marnie Runglin. Lynn Ann Robertson. Nora Fabiola Ocampo Garcia. Ann Jeanette Johnson. Heather Tidings. Phyllis Carter. In Horticulture, Luther Carson. Tremaine Hatch. In Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, Ashley Holmes. Brittany Cochran. Master of Science in Architecture, Candace Elaine Davis. Aaron Barnhart. Jessica Zimmerman. Russell Clark. Jonathan Pitts. Brandon Francis. Justin Dowd. Joshua Skiles. Cheryl Moy. Alireza Bozorgi. Receiving the Master of Landscape Architecture in Landscape Architecture, Shruti Atmakur. Yi-Ning Shu. Shruti Kaujalji. In Urban Planning, Tian Liang. Nurma Wati. Girija Umishankar. Receiving the Master of Public Administration, John A. Budeski. Lisa Cotting. Ashley DiBiase. Brian Glover. Harvey Heath. Charlie Jewell. Derek Kestner. John McBrien. Marlon Murphy. Larry W. Snyder, Jr. Whitney Wetzel. Receiving the Master of Public and International Affairs, Sean Mouton. Teresa Gillespie. Yu Ling. Thomas Moore. Julianne Chop. Andrew Mendel. William Drake. In building construction, Bart McMillan. Taylor Neal. William A. Thomas III. Zubair Siddiqui. Emilia Adoma. Ali Al-Basami. Diego Simoes. From the Pamplin College of Business, receiving the Master of Accounting and Information Systems, Adam Trotz. Sean Enright. Devin Pierce. Justin Gross. Matthew Moran. Michael Bell. Justin Longest. Kelly Brady. Jesse Lowe. Rachel Sastry. Guys, where are you? Danielle Gray. Stephanie Bartalik. Evan Hill. How did you get back there? Jesse Lowe. How did you get? Julia Church. Christine Aldridge. Zara Short. Alexander Baden. James Maston. Did we call that person? Megan Moore. Abigail Johnson. Rebecca Blankenship. April Sturgill. Julie Bacher. William Roth. Derek Scheid. Deanna Sentman. Andrew Barnes. Christopher Barrett. Brad Sumpter. Darren Booth. Abby Carmichael. Este Rios. Emily Troud. Jacob Short. Radisara Prumtumtong. Jacqueline Wynn. Marcelo Sandoval. Michael Puterbaugh. Thomas Whitehead. Megan Roach. Kristen Hayes. Thomas Spavone. Lance Reese. William Wilson. Cherish Wirtz. Yumin Young. Chun Jung. James McCoy. Receiving the Master of Business Administration, Alice Dukelar. Malak Wahib Yosef Iskandar. Andrew Paul Lapointe. Kumar Vitrag. Brett Kemp. Lindsay Moss. Laura Haskins, Kathleen Gardner, James Dickens, Christopher Belden, Ming-Chun Wu, Wesley Hudson, Josie Chaco, Brittany Papke, Catherine Tront, Jack Gerdeman, Sarah Archer, Cassandra Price, Walter Robles, Pierre Nowinski, David Crystal, Andrew Hebden, Matt Landman, Anil Somarajan, Aparna Kini, Ekaterina Udina, Michael Ioffe, Uygar Kurtbey, Bernard Clifford Grunstra, Basil McDaddy, Michael Curling, Hem Basil, Vamsi Gulapali, Amit Kalita, Anvita Punja, Sham Nima, Hiran Pasad, Sagar Dedia, Jigar Doshi, Sudharsan Vasu, Sandeep Bazaz, Hiran Dudat, Priyesh Putran, Bhavesh Jinadra, Chang'an Lee, Xiaozhu Kui, Li Ping Yao, Li Min Tan, Nan Lin, Hui Yu Wang, Wei Chi Chern, Chen Thang Cho, Yan Han Yang, Cha Ling Hyseung, Chi Hung Liu. In marketing, Estelle Potion, Rekha Lasu, Giovanni Dragonetti, Jin Fang Zhao, Xingbo Li, From the College of Engineering, receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Aerospace Engineering, Joshua Berman. Timothy Berman. George Massey. Ben Cole. Lindsay King. Adam Fillion. David Gladson. Christina Arndt. Scott Berger. Andrew Cosentino. Jeffrey Wallet. Matthew Ryan Catlett. Benjamin Worrell. Stephen Pace. Zach Parson. Riju John. In biomedical engineering, Sarah Lapp. Anthony Santiago. Kellen Shane. In biological systems engineering, Ying Shen. Carolyn Hay. Derek Grisco. Shannon Ethier. Lauren Brookmeyer. Rebecca Martinez. Frederick Atadana. In chemical engineering, Natapol Lurku-Semsam. In civil engineering, Kaylin Bauman. Colleen Carlson. Kendall Blanding. Christopher David. Jack Verhoeven. Seth Williamson. Brian Wells. Joseph Dulka. Rakesh Naik. Komsan Sutawasantorn. Karthik Gainson. Yash Gashpia. Soundar Balakumaran. Faye Garstang. Leonardo Hasban. Beiruz Sorori Rad. Goku Kamath. Nikila Kotla. Travis Hughes. Grant Howerton. Demetrius Sedaris. Shashikant Guram. Sachi Nakanti. Eric Bradshaw. William Brubaker. In computer engineering, Jason Forsyth. In computer science and applications, Elizabeth Lowry. Nof Mohammed Al-Alala. Bradley Willis. Joseph Bourne. Alexander Joel Allen. Chester Rawson. Dmitry Cherbanow. Vanita Chaube. Yannick Verdi. Evan Maxwell. Vin To. Shambhavi Gireddy. Rahul Jayaraman. Deepan Natisan Seralan. In electrical engineering, Areg Bagdasarian. Umair Asan. Vasant Kumar Ramkumar. Abhirami Srinivasan. Fahad Ali. Nitya Warrior. Sri Bhavya Amirapu. Balasundar Bola Subramanian. John Caldwell. Kevin Stern. Jay Sangui. Percy Dadaboy. Zhou Yu Wu. Chan Shu Shang. Dao Zhou. Brian Meadowcroft. Hu Wei Vo. Zhiyuan Tan. In engineering mechanics, Justin Klein. Michael Sano. Jeffrey Alexander Tizard III. In environmental engineering, Lovinia Gulati. In environmental sciences and engineering, Porter Knight. Aileen Griffin. Kendall Rose Stone. Matthew Chan. In industrial systems engineering, Nathan Duman. Lynette Flora Wilcox. Joyner Perez. Craig Metzger. Victor Pereira. Venkat Rohit Kota. Praveen Jayakumar. Prashant Dillon. Kashyap Sridhar. Arun Ipen Vargas. Roshan Kulkarni. Gudav Dongokar. Ajit Gujar. In materials science and engineering, Nicholas Floyd. Liang Luo. Kevin Sheets. Charles Sprinkle. In mechanical engineering, Patrick Summers. Emily Fogel. Troy Hawley. Omar Hafez. Matthew John Cobert. Nagendra Krishnamurthy. Derek Lahr. Gordon Kwong. Sajid Jumani. Sean Schneider. In mining engineering, Kobe Addison. From interdisciplinary programs, receiving the Master of Information Technology, Gustav Barkstrom. Stacy Jones. Daniel Bullington. Sean Warren Whitus. Bobby Jones. Lloyd Decker. Selena Deal. Hardy Babu Sri Ramoju. Chi Lee. Receiving the Master of Science in Macromolecular Science and Engineering Life Sciences, Timothy Videla. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Master of Arts in Communication, Sarah Elizabeth Long. Aaron Lee Cooper. Receiving the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, Brian Murray. Josette Torres. In Career and Technical Education, Dale Cruzan III. Cynthia Green. Christy Huffman. Ashley Pitzenbarger. Christine Willard. Karen Raudebush. Maggie Long. Erica Hoskins. Ashley Clark. Jennifer Bowery. Edward Olson. Michael Culler. Christopher Brown. Jacob Gilly. Shanda Kaluska. Meredith Burton. Kristen Seeley. Christine Donovan. Monica Guerrero. Douglas Milburn. Jared Thompson. Rebecca Schott. Mark Husband. In counselor education, Lena Wilkinson. Diem Chi Gwen. Morgan Gabor. Amanda Linhart. Kathy Bush. Teresa Holt. Mary Yost. In curriculum and instruction, Nicholas Belanc. Patrick Moffett. Ben Henkin. Amanda Cox. Krista Roop. Amy Clark. Bryn Cody. Valerie Parr. Eric Tatum. Matthew Sherman. Wanda Ramsey. Chelsea Crane. Natalie Madea. Shelley Martin. Whitney Mullins. Candace Wilson. Whitney Ray Halawa Marker. Leslie McNally. Kelly Ann Stahl. Benjamin Taliaferro Zachary. Hannah McMillan. Carla Marie Edwards. Chelsea Kuntz. Stephen Shelburne. Gregory Wren. Amanda Helsley. Montana Brown. Hunter Kopczynski. Matthew Bartley. Nathan Denny. Stephanie Foreman. Kelly Mayhew. Warren Welch. Heather Cunningham. Andre Sparks. Ashley Graham. Mary Johnson. Kelly Hunt. Jennifer Matner. Ashley Myers. Emily Sherrill Knight. Costain Link. Jamie Powell. Alexandria Gallo. Patrick Krantz. Nicole Lean. James Reed. Trey Reeves. Pedro Hernandez. Kate Garrett Anderson. Devin Milbourne. Ashley Monroe Tabb. Alice Lee. Joan Baker. Say-Min Oh. Lauren Thompson. Kelly Dubach. Deborah Avance. Elizabeth Lyon. Elizabeth Megan Chapman. Joseph Wilder. Richard Pobjecki. Thomas Casey. Dylan Robert Wedan. Matthew Barrow. Ryan Updike. Hunter Simmons. Jeremy Conrad. John Pearson. Emily Kirby. Anne Marie Rice. Amber Davis. Elena Linnard. Kristen Gilbert. Stephanie Williams. Mary Beth Starkey. Brandy Wilson. Kyle D. Trott. Craig Barton. Bradley Rice. In health and physical education, Chantel Wood. Stephen Hale. Murat Mazacoglu. Gabby Marquez. Deanna Williams. Diana Harbert. Laurie Hines. Emily Hutcherson. Caitlin Joyner. Olin Arthron Dunford. Chiquita Thomas, receiving a Master of Arts in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Nathaniel Swan. Jennifer Glenn. Sarah Loth. Jingjing Zhang. Diona Curitan. Robert Morris. Courtney Carey. Dexter Bush Scott. Brandon Lama. Receiving the Master of Arts in English, Jennifer Pavlak. Elizabeth Prisley. Meredith Valley. Heather Draxel. In history, Eric Vanover. Lori Ann Valentine de Segovia. Receiving the Master of Arts in Philosophy, Eric Hodges. In Political Science, Drew Mars. Aaron Lunday. From the College of Natural Resources, receiving the Master of Science and Master of Forestry in Forestry, William Ford. Joseph Locke Conrad IV. Beth Wright. Priscilla Bosker. In Geography, Cynthia Green. From the College of Science, receiving the Master of Science in Biological Sciences, John Welsh. In Chemistry, Sangamitra Sen. Jing Sun. Stephen Burrows. In Geosciences, Evan Anderson. In Mathematics, Andrea Laflito. Nicholas Moore. Julian McMorrow. Daniel Schmidt. In Physics, Robert Lilienfeld. In Psychology, Kenya King. From the Virginia Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, receiving the Master of Science in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Paul Kim. Sarah Davies. Amitesh Mandal.
Congratulations to all our new master's degree holders. And finally, we would like to take a few moments to acknowledge the immense talent, commitment, and responsibilities of the Virginia Tech faculty, who are so critical to the advancement of graduate education at Virginia Tech. I would like to ask the President of the Faculty Senate, Dr. Gary Long, to offer some remarks on behalf of the faculty.
Thank you, Dean DePaul. On behalf of the 1,400 faculty, we appreciate this opportunity to spend a few minutes with you, albeit it's warm but yet joyous, with you and your family members. Receiving a graduate degree from Virginia Tech makes you part of a very special group of people for two reasons. One, a very small percentage of the population holds more than one graduate degree. Two, the percentage is even less for those holding a power degree like the one you just received from Virginia Tech. What you have done is a major accomplishment. But it wasn't easy, was it? For nothing that is worth it is ever that easy. As you have discovered, graduate education is a unique experience. What makes the experience so unique is that the effort is focused on working closely with a small group of faculty. Your graduate education was grounded in the principle that there is a partnership between the student and the faculty member. And this experience was never really about courses or grades, but relationships. Even before you arrived at Virginia Tech, we wanted you to succeed. And in our roles as teachers, advisors, and mentors, we have encouraged you. And that encouragement, in part, led you to this joyous moment. Anatole France was right when he said, 9/10 of education is encouragement. The scientist John Maxwell said, encouragement is the oxygen of the soul. We believe that the most important outcome of our relationships with you is that it has led us to become colleagues, and we hope lifelong friends. Your relationship with your faculty will be a strategic part of your professional network for your entire career. You will learn from one another, publish together, perform outreach together, and celebrate each other's success. So we wish you the best, and on behalf of the faculty here at Virginia Tech, your colleagues, congratulations.
We extend a special thanks to Chelsea Crane and to the members of Virginia Tech Brass Ensemble for their part in this afternoon's ceremony. Now please stand until the stage party has recessed, and with the recessional, our ceremony will be concluded. Thank you for joining us, and have a safe trip home.